What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Fuse Meet session. Thanks for joining us, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't worry, I'm not going to say that again, but I might sneak it in at the end just a little bit. I hope everyone is holding up amidst one of the roughest patches for crypto and blockchain. The last couple of weeks have been hectic, we could say, Simon, perhaps would be a good word to use. Pretty crazy out there, so I hope everyone's doing okay. The brighter days are ahead. It's almost Christmas and all those Christmas songs are coming. Don't worry, there's cheeriness around the corner. So on this week's show, I've got Simon Kane. He's the founder of a decentralized finance platform, IcecreamSwap, and he's here to talk to us about their platform, a recent integration with Fuse, and some more. But first, how are you doing today, Simon? Are you okay?
Yeah, hi. First of all, thanks so much for having me here. Very great to show everyone our project. And then, yeah, what I'm doing, we are in the middle of releasing very cool new stuff actually for the IcecreamSwap ecosystem.
Nice.
I will later, I think, share a bit of our project, of our UI, but don't be wondered. Most likely we will change that will change already in the next few days because we are working hard in the background and have a lot of things that are cooking. Yeah.
Nice, man. So lots going on with Simon and IcecreamSwap, which is what we're here to talk about. And also, just to say as well, the reason we do these shows is to give people an idea of the kind of people that work in these projects, that are championing these projects and that are actually responsible for the day-to-day activity. It's very easy to go and look at IcecreamSwap on the internet, but to actually listen to the people behind it is far more valuable, I think. So cool. So just to give everyone a kind of broad overview of what IcecreamSwap is before we dive right in, it's a platform for token swaps. You can also bridge tokens across multiple blockchains. Security and user experience is really at the core of the value proposition. So let's dive in and find out about all those things. But first, Simon, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey into Web3. How did you end up in this crazy blockchain world, man? Tell us a bit more.
Yeah, I think like as with many people, I have quite an interesting story actually for such a unique space to be in. I started as a trader. And as a trader, there were a lot of opportunities in the crypto space, especially in arbitrage. And that's how I ended up like roughly in crypto. And to introduce actually a friend of mine to DeFi and what crypto is about, I started a small DEX with him as like more like a tutorial at the
Nice.
beginning. And then I think 2 months after we started that tutorial DEX, there were quite a big blockchain that had like no DeFi activity on it. And so I just proposed like, why not use our example DEX and make it a real DEX for that blockchain? And that's how we started IcecreamSwap.
Wow. Okay. So like a bedroom project turned into a full-scale business almost. Like that's crazy. That's
Absolutely.
super interesting. So you built it as an example to show somebody else about.
Yeah, it was a tutorial basically.
Amazing. So you were one of those guys who was out there trying, and still are, I'm sure, trying to onboard people into crypto, explaining to them how things work, educating. That's amazing. I like to hear that. We need more people like you, definitely, Simon, educating people. So you're not a newbie to the space, right? You've been involved for quite some time. Can I call you a degen even, do you
Yeah.
reckon?
So sorry, I did
Can I
not
call
get
you
that
a
word.
degen trader even, do you think?
Yeah, maybe. Actually, I started in the like normal financial markets, so definitely as a trader. Crypto is, I think I'm in crypto for 2 years now, so it's not that old. But I had a lot of experience in normal financial markets, and now the crypto journey was very intense from the learning curve, but very cool because there's so much to learn. I just
That's
love
very
it.
cool as well that you took it. We'll talk about the blockchain that you approached and that launched the project. That's really interesting as well. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, and just kind of to get that overriding view of like, what is IcecreamSwap? Like, what does it do? And maybe you want to show us in a bit more of a visual way. I've got the website here. Maybe we can scroll through and you can kind of give people an idea of what to expect when they land here. So give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's
Cool, man.
perfect.
What's up?
Yeah. Okay, I think now everyone
That's
can
it.
see it. basically we have our like entry to the IcecreamSwap ecosystem, which is our landing page, the IcecreamSwap.com landing page. And yeah, there's a lot of informations on that landing page. We have a very detailed roadmap, actually with a lot of things that we already accomplished.
Ahead of schedule, right?
Yeah, actually that's true. I think every month we delivered or even over delivered till now. As one can see, we are live till since July this year, so actually quite a new project. But for the short time we were able to onboard quite a few cool projects, start cool pro ourselves. Yeah. So what is IcecreamSwap in the core about? And as the name may suggest, we are a swap. Let's actually turn to the dark mode because that's better for the eyes. And yeah, like in any other swap, you can simply swap cryptocurrencies against each other. So you get the live price feeds. Okay, that's now 2 stable coins, etc. So just basically a normal swap. But what we are doing different is it's super intuitive to use and reliable. And in the background, it's all decentralized. That means we don't have any custody of the funds that user provides, but users are earning all the trading fees. So that means if a trader now, for example, USDT versus BUSDI, and that costs him 0.3% of fee. And of these 0.3%, 0.25% go to our liquidity providers. And that means everyone can provide liquidity, therefore stake their tokens and earn passive income on top of these due to the trading fees. Nice. And that all in a completely non-custodial way. So even if I would want to behave bad, I simply would not have the possibility.
There's no ability to do that.
To do so.
Yep.
Exactly. And then what we also have is our bridge. With the bridge, we can currently bridge. Now it's 4 chains. Actually, there's also the Doge chain, the new Doge chain. But yeah, we temporarily stopped that because they have some issues. But Fuse chain is on there, and Fuse chain never was stopped. So from the beginning, when we onboarded Fuse chain, everything went very smoothly with Fuse chain. And our bridge is multi-directional, so that means you can swap between all these chains and Doge chain like directly in one hub. So you don't have only Fuse chain connected to Bitgert, for the example. You also have Fuse chain directly connected to the Binance Smart Chain. Nice. And I can also demonstrate that. You'd simply need to switch to the Binance Smart Chain. That's your source chain, what your MetaMask is selected. And then you can bridge to the Fuse chain with all our tokens. We actually brought a few tokens ourselves, for example, the Young Parrot token or Lunagens token. So that means they are from another blockchain, but now they are with us starting to onboard the Fuse chain. And all the users on the Fuse chain can trade, buy, invest in these tokens, even provide liquidity with them and earn weekly airdrops, but maybe more to that later.
Nice, very nice. And the UX is pretty slick. Like everything looks quite familiar for me as in terms of a DEX and the way it looks, but it's very nicely laid out. It's quite intuitive, like you said at the beginning. It's smooth, like everything looks kind of smooth. So, and in a very basic level, this enables Fuse ecosystem and token holders to bridge tokens across, such as USDC. You can bridge it from Fuse network across into Binance and so forth, and the other way as well. So very cool. All right. Let's okay, I'm going to pull down the visual now, Simon, and then we'll just jump into a few more questions about this. But yeah, I mean, I think people get the basic overall idea here. Everything looks fairly straightforward, and the list is growing of tokens and assets as well. So it's always worth coming back and checking it out. All right.
Yeah, cool. Sometimes even daily, actually.
Wow. It's a fast-moving industry, right, Simon? That's very cool. Okay, thank you for that. That really helps, I think, just to solidify and show people what it is that we're discussing here. Because, yeah, people, and the reason that we are kind of both of us hung around on the non-custodial part is, for those who don't know, is because of what recently happened with FTX, is because this is a custodial exchange where they take custody of your tokens. Therefore, when they have a problem, they keep the tokens. What these guys are offering is the opposite of that, in fact, whereby they have no control over your tokens. And as Simon said, even if he wanted to be a bad actor, he's not allowed. So it doesn't really work. So if anything, the FTX collapse has given more strength to platforms like IcecreamSwap, I think, in my opinion. It definitely has given more power to, I think, you guys as well. But let's talk about this. The BitGert blockchain is not one that I had heard of. And I'm quite curious as about, so you said that you approached them with your project. They didn't have any DeFi, so they wanted to launch. So tell us a bit more about the BitGert blockchain as well, because it might be something that people are interested in as well.
Yeah, okay, sure. The BitGert blockchain, actually, from especially our perspective as traders and the DeFi approach, let's say, BitGert has quite a few very unique features, and that's they have zero gas fees, basically. So that means you can do as many transactions as you like, and you don't pay anything for it. Or I think like 1 cent worth of the BitGert token carries you through your whole life on the BitGert chain. And yeah, that's very interesting for us, especially because then you can trade as much as you want without losing all that money on the transfer fees, on the gas fees. As most people sadly know, I think, especially Ethereum has super high gas fees, or had super high gas fees. And if you pay, let's say, $60 for a single transaction, for a single swap, then you really need the big volumes, the big values, so it can be like somewhat profitable. And on BitGert, that's exactly the opposite, because even if you could theoretically start with 1 cent, and even then the gas fees are so low that the gas fees basically don't cut into your profit. Yeah, nice. And that's what that's the core part of BitGert. By now, BitGert also has quite a major DeFi ecosystem, actually with us at the center. So we are not only the first, but also the now biggest and main DEX on BitGert. Nice. We have something between 2 and 3 million in value locked on the BitGert chain, and so we are cooperating with a lot of projects there. And what's quite cool also, I think, for Fuse, we are bringing some of these projects also to Fuse. So as I showed before, the young Parrot token and the Lunagans token we have supported on our bridge, that's actually 2 BitGert projects. Or actually, Lunagans is even a Binance Smart Chain project that we brought to BitGert, and now we are bringing it to Fuse. Nice. And both quite big projects. Yared is NFT marketplace, and actually quite a bit more than just a marketplace. And Lunagans is a very broad project who's also helping other projects, who's involved in DeFi as well. So they are basically the go-to project for any nice. Corporations.
Nice.
And they are also on Fuse.
Yeah, that's really cool. I wasn't aware of BitGert, but the reason I ask is because I did wonder about the fees, and it's very cool to hear that the fees are super low. And I think these days, maybe a few years ago, people tended to get hung up on the idea of operating on Ethereum or other chains. And I think now it's becoming quite obvious that it doesn't really matter, and that the end user is really just out for a good service and low costs. So yeah, the reason I wanted to dig into that is just to give people an idea of what that chain is, because maybe they can also go and do a bit more homework around that as well. So you're supporting multiple chains, and one of them is Fuse. And what are the other chains that you're supporting? Binance Smart, BNB chain, Doge chain, Fuse, Ethereum. Any more?
We don't support Ethereum at the moment, but I mean the BitGert chain, and we also support a chain that's called Token Chain, but that's really a smaller one. But actually, the list that we are currently supporting, in my opinion, is not too interesting or too important, because we are expanding like very, very rapidly. and we are like just now in a expansion phase. So that means even the market is quite crazy at the moment. All our fundamental developments that we like wanted to have before we do like mass expansion, they are basically done now. And now we really can stamp down our products on many chains, especially the bridge, because the bridge obviously gets more interesting with more chains that are added.
Yep.
But also the swap. And since Fuse is on our bridge already, and we have a like omnidirectional bridge, every chain that we add will also have support to directly bridge to Fuse without any intermediate chain.
That's amazing and perfect. Exactly what the ecosystem needs as well at Fuse. So very good in that regard. Okay, so growing the whole time. So perhaps if we talk in another year or so, your list of chains and tokens would have expanded 100x. But that's why I said at the beginning, it's worth people kind of paying attention to platforms like IcecreamSwap regularly, because things change regularly, right? So,
Absolutely.
okay, cool. I want to talk about liquidity a little bit, Simon. Given what's been happening in the market, we talk about liquidity. Without liquidity, your operation cannot operate. Fundamentally, you cannot do anything without liquidity. So what's the kind of total liquidity on IcecreamSwap kind of right now? And what are users doing mostly on IcecreamSwap? Are they staking, farming, bridging? What sort of regular activities do you see your platform being used for?
At the moment, we have, I think, 2.2 million in liquidity on our project.
Nice.
We already like we're at 3 million, but yeah, the bear market is hitting us all. Our users are like very many of our users are actually providing that liquidity, because it's there are very big incentives to provide liquidity on IcecreamSwap. We have our own governance token that actually is a deflationary token, so not like many farming tokens. It's a deflationary governance token, and that governance token, we decided to not sell it. So we did not had a pre-sale, we did not had whatever fair launch, whatever. We are completely airdropping our governance token to our liquidity providers. So instead of making money from our token pre-sales, we use indirectly this money to incentivize our liquidity providers. And that's why providing liquidity on IcecreamSwap is quite lucrative for all the liquidity providers.
I did wonder about the airdrops, because I was going to ask the question about airdrops, but that makes perfect sense. So, okay, so liquidity providers are incentivized quite heavily to provide liquidity on IcecreamSwap right now, and that's delivered back to them. Their rewards are delivered back to them as airdrops, or is that an extra reward?
Yeah, there's two rewards. Like first the reward is the 0.25% of every trade. So the trading fees, the liquidity providers get that. And on top of that, we have the weekly airdrop, where we just like that's basically our initial token distribution. And we are distributing our tokens to our liquidity providers, which has two very nice benefits. First of all, our liquidity providers have very nice APYs, so they have very heavy incentives for the liquidity provision. And second of all, we are distributing our liquidity to our actual users, our token to our actual users. We are not distributing them to like investors with paper hands, basically. We are distributing the tokens to the users who understand what IcecreamSwap is about, who already used it. I mean, they are liquidity providers, and who can value the project in a real way, and not only like see the chart going down a bit and then are out.
Less speculative, right? Because they're actually the most vested users in your platform.
Exactly.
So for them to token dump would impact them. So
yeah, basically.
highly stupid to do that and to operate in that way for them. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
the idea is actually the users like our project. That's why they are here. So yeah, they understand the value of the token,
Yeah.
and that's another thing. As it will be our governance token, we will actually have like votes based on the IceCream token shares. And that
Ah,
means, yeah, we definitely want users that understand our product to vote, and therefore to like, take a share, take a take part in the future of IcecreamSwap instead of some investors that are only there for short-term profits and killing the project in the long term. Therefore.
that's a really good approach. I think, yeah, there's a couple of things you've said during the chat so far that made me kind of, it's a nice approach to and a good way to do things. But if you're if you're a person like me and I'm thinking, oh, this sounds cool, I can't invest in the ICE token, correct? I have to become a platform user. I can't be an outsider to this community, as it were. Is that right?
You by now you can invest. So the IceCream token is now publicly tradable on our DEX. So you
Okay.
can simply buy or sell it on our DEX at any time you like. We also don't have any transfer fees, so it's completely up to you. There's no additional fee. But the newly created tokens or the newly circulated tokens, they are first of all going through the hands of our liquidity providers. And
Got it.
only if a liquidity provider chooses to, for example, sell the token or
Got it.
provide liquidity with it, then the secondary market has the opportunity to buy that token.
Nice. Okay. So, okay, this all makes a lot of sense. And given the situation that we're in right now, and the question I kind of wanted to ask you, and I think you've kind of ticked a few of these boxes, but what do you think are the kind of must-have qualities for a DeFi app, especially a non-custodial DEX? Like,
Yeah.
in your opinion, Simon, what's your priorities for the next year, basically? Who do you want to be seen as, you know?
I mean, like the highest priorities of all is security.
Yeah.
And actually, you're saying like a DEX and DeFi product, but many of the projects that are like naming themselves DEXs or DeFi products are actually not really decentralized. So
Yes.
they have admin features in there where they can withdraw tokens. They have like just possibility to do shady stuff.
Yeah.
And even if they don't do it, they have the possibility, and that's what is the difference in DeFi. Because like a proper DeFi project, there should not be that possibility, and
Yeah.
that's exactly where we are also heading to. And security also comes with like tested systems,
Yeah.
which is why we are building on the original Uniswap V2 contracts. So that
Nice.
means Uniswap tested these contracts in live with billions of dollars for multiple years now, and
Yeah.
we are using the exact same contracts. So yeah, we have all the audits from Uniswap, we have all the security from Uniswap. Security wise, we are actually, I mean, we are using the same code, so we are the same code wise.
It's the same thing, basically. It's like a
Yeah,
fork almost, isn't it? Like,
exactly. I mean, we are a fork of Uniswap, as many other or close to all other swaps, I think, are as well. But we are
200 250 times, I think Uniswap's been forked in
and
total
that's
across.
only the official forks.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
officials.
but many of these forks are then trying to introduce like some custom behavior, which but then like gets the away from the DeFi idea, let's say.
Yeah,
And we are not doing that. So we have the original Uniswap V2 contracts. We are using them like Uniswap is using them. We have a lot of incentives, etc. on top of that, like the airdrops. We pay attention to have very nice UIs, to have very good support in our Telegram, especially, etc. But the contracts are Uniswap contracts, and therefore as safe as Uniswap.
that's okay. Nice. So a couple of things I've heard. You've got using audited V2 Uniswap contracts, pretty good. Because I'm
Exactly.
asking, what things do you think are important for a DEX? I think that is vital, obviously. I also think the moment in time you guys have launched this year in the summer, kind of shows your dedication to your projects as well. There was many projects that fell off the map in the last 6 months entirely. But I think what we were saying at the beginning of the year is that this is a builder's market. And I think it shows, number one, the time frame that you've launched in is not the best, to be honest, right? Not the greatest. The way that the tokens are distributed in terms of your tokenomics and having to be a vested partner in order to kind of get involved, and the security of Uniswap, those three things together, I think are pretty good, Simon. I think you're doing quite well there, to be honest.
Yeah, what I
on.
like saying is basically we are growing quite a bit in the bear market. Yeah, then wait for the bull market.
Well, that's it. If you guys can grow and develop and find traction now, yeah, when the bull comes back, you should be in a great place.
Yeah.
So what's on? We saw a little glimpse of the roadmap there when you were scrolling through the site as well. And can you give us a little teaser into what you said? You're ahead of schedule. You've got a whole round of changes coming. Give us a bit of an intro, and yeah, let us know what people can expect in the next kind of 6 months to a year with IcecreamSwap. What you guys do?
Actually, as a like project that's really focusing on building, we made kind of the commitment to ourselves to not talk about stuff, but actually do stuff. So that indeed means if you take a look at our roadmap, there's a lot that we've done in the past. But
Yep.
for the future, there are like a few very big key points, but nothing like too detailed. We are actually not even really advertising with the stuff that we want to do. We are only advertising with the stuff that we already did. And yeah, for the big key points, I could mention some, because especially some of them are very close to being ready and being released. We are currently reworking all our UIs. So that means, yeah, I mentioned at the beginning, all the UIs that you are seeing right now at IcecreamSwap, they might already change in a few days.
Yeah. Okay.
And we also have quite a few like completely separate DeFi categories that we are going to tap in, that we already have a lot of development done, and they will also launch very soon. And especially when the bull market hits, we will be ready.
No way. You know, that's another one you've just added. So we had 3. I think you've got 4. Under promising and over delivering on product. That's a big one, Simon. Like, I really liked what you just said then about we're not talking about it, we're just shipping. That's going to be the difference between who floats and who sinks, I think, over the next couple of years, isn't it? I think people have had enough of what you should look out for. We're going to do this in the future. The whole hyping something that doesn't exist, I think, is
the moon.
yeah, the moon is pretty far away. Nobody should think we're going to get there tomorrow. Like, let's be realistic about this. I think the general consensus out there in the space is the people want that as well. More honesty, more kind of transparency, definitely more transparency, but just being a bit more real about what you can and can't deliver, I think. And a bit kind of theoretical, I guess, as a question, but given everything that's been happening with FTX, and not just FTX, like throughout the year as well, and at the end of last year as well, this is nothing too surprising, I don't think, for us guys who work in this space all the time. But where do you see it heading, Simon? Do you see centralized exchanges just becoming irrelevant? Do you see
Yeah.
do you see them becoming more used, or do you see true decentralized platforms changing their UX to become more like centralized? I don't know. What do you think? How do you see things going in the next 12 months, let's say? Even
Yeah,
that's a long time in crypto, right? 12 months.
yeah, especially, yeah, right. I think and I hope that everything becomes way more decentralized, because that's how crypto, like the promise of crypto is. And all these centralized exchanges kind of cash in on the promise of crypto, but do exactly the opposite, meaning being completely centralized.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that everything becomes way more decentralized. Also, many of the big builders like Buterin himself, Vitalik himself, etc., are very focused on getting the stuff that's currently centralized in a decentralized way. So, for example, the DEXs, we already have them for quite some time, and they have proven to be like working great, actually. And what the research is heading for is not only to build these decentralized ways of doing stuff out, but also like creating new ways. So products that are currently not decentralized because it's just not known or researched how to do it, even they are becoming decentralized in the future. Which, for example, Chainlink, as one great example, they are taking real world information and providing it on the blockchain, and that while staying decentralized due to a multi-party approach. So yeah, even fully centralized data streams, etc., is currently being decentralized, and that's where everything I think heads and definitely should head. And being a decentralized exchange at basically the heart of all these projects, we are working with all new projects because they want like users to trade their token, so they are coming to us first and we are taking a very close look into them, etc. And especially from the newer projects, I can say the decentralized projects are the one that are making it through the bear market. The others not so much.
Yeah, that's really nicely put. I think that's a good way to look at it. Just thinking about that as well, and you mentioned Launchpad there as well, which I haven't asked you about, but we just had a question about the Launchpad. What will be the first project launched on the Launchpad, on the IcecreamSwap Launchpad? Maybe first, tell us about the Launchpad. Is it your kind of standard like IDO Launchpad? How does this work? And then, yeah, what would be the first project that we should expect to see, if you can talk about that?
Yeah, sure. On our launchpad, or first to the launchpad, we are taking, we are thinking everything should be as simple as possible, and the launchpad is no exception to that. So many launchpads have things like staking requirements to be able to take part in a launch, etc. We don't have anything of that. We don't have private pre-sales, etc. When a project launches on our project on our launchpad, every investor has exactly the same chances. There's no like pre-sale, special price, whatever, no staking. Everyone has the same opportunity, and we are focusing on really like getting the info of the project out. So we are not just launching like a quantity of projects, we are launching a quality of projects. And that means we have our internal review process of all these projects. All projects launching on IcecreamSwap are internally reviewed and approved. And that review process is actually very intense for the projects. And many of the projects did not went through that process. But the projects that are going through the process, that are the ones where we really took a deep look, and everything we saw was fine, and actually more than fine, because fine is something many can do.
That's a good point. So does it start as like a big pile of white papers, or do people come with kind of like a MVP, or how does that work? Are you just scrolling through, or?
Yeah, it's actually very different. Luckily, we have quite a nice team who is very experienced in also evaluating projects. And normally, we are just getting directly approached on Telegram, for example, from other projects. And then the first thing we need to do is basically ask them everything, like what's the project about, tokenomics, etc. And then we go through all that stuff in together with the project itself. We often also have multiple calls with the projects. We are doxing the projects. So we really do everything that we possibly could to evaluate and protect, evaluate the project and protect our investors. So we can't promise that all projects we launch will go to the moon, but what we are doing
Good.
our best is to filter scam projects greatly out.
How So alongside all the kind of technical details, the white paper, the project, the MVP, what it is they want to do, for you, Simon, as a person, how important is it for you, the relationship with the people themselves, the people behind the project, the founder? How important is it to you that you kind of even are able to get on with these people, or that you see some strong qualities there, especially now, given where we're kind of going? And how important is that for you guys, like the people?
I mean, sure, that's super important. Also, a project needs to have a like great mixture of members, basically,
Mm.
because a project which has like great ideas but no developer who's able to build them, and then they can promise whatever and build very great websites, etc., but that's not a project that we are going to launch, right? So we really check also the team, and we don't only check that the idea is great, we are also checking that we think the project is able to deliver that idea. And yeah, therefore the team is very important. And also the user base of the project is also very important, because if a project manages to convince a lot of users that they are a great project, I mean, that's a very good indicator. There are a lot of people out there who are searching for great investment opportunities, and if many of these people think that project is a great opportunity, yeah, then that's a very good indicator for us as well.
Yeah, usage is definitely a great indicator. So is it just, are you selective over what you'll launch, or will it be marketplaces, DEXs, NFTs? What kind of is it anyone and everyone, or is it just, as you say, if you guys find it interesting and think it can gain traction, you'll consider that? Is that the way you're doing it?
Yeah, basically, if we like the project and we think they can achieve what they promise, they are considered. What projects we actually like handle in a preferred way are DeFi projects.
Okay.
So if a project is decentralized and more like in the best possible way, even is like working together with our DEX or other stuff, then that's a great project for us, and we will most likely launch them if they have a great idea and we think they can accomplish it. All other
Nice.
projects definitely have a chance that we launch them, but that's not the like core focus.
Yeah. Okay. And by default, those projects launch on the BitGert blockchain, or is that open to debate as well? That's not a default thing.
That's completely open. As our other projects, we are rolling out our launchpad to all the chains that we are on. The
No.
idea is that all chains that we onboard have all the features that we provide. So that currently being the swap, the bridge, and the launchpad. And
Nice.
so we are going to onboard a lot of chains, and all these chains will have these three core components, and maybe there's even a fourth or fifth coming.
Some alpha, Simon. Okay, cool, man. So, number one, thank you so much. I think you've done a really, really great job of explaining what IcecreamSwap is about. And I'm very happy about what I said at the beginning about meeting the people behind the company, because you've done a great job of representing your platform. And people should, I hope, understand more about the platform given who they are listening to. So, mission accomplished in that perspective, I think, Simon,
Perfect.
definitely. But what I wanted to kind of give you the opportunity, how can people, they've watched this AMA, they're energized by the idea of IcecreamSwap, they like the idea of providing liquidity. How can people get involved with IcecreamSwap? Where's the best place to ask questions? Is it Twitter? Is it Discord? Give people an idea about how they can kind of jump into your community.
Yeah, our like by far largest community or most active community is Telegram. So that means there we have multiple also moderators, team members who are like 24/7 available to answer all questions.
Nice.
That's also like one core aspect that we want to like onboard or make everyone understand what we are doing. So as long as you have questions, you will get answers. And so that's the main thing. All our news are also on Twitter,
Okay.
so you can also follow us there.
Mhm.
And yeah, just come to our community, and all your questions can be answered in an individual way. Also, you can just take a look at the websites themselves, as our approach is make everything as simple and user-friendly as possible. Maybe many of the stuff that we are providing you can directly interact with and understand what to do with it.
Nice, man. I mean, you just also mentioned something there I think is really important, again, about this question about what's important for a DEX or a platform such as yours. I think customer service is always going to be important, right? People have questions. People get stuck. People get lost, especially in DeFi sometimes. Do you guys see that as a really like a vital part of your process, to be on hand, to answer the stupidest question up to the most, you know, the questions you're going to get, like usually here's a question. What's the number one question or sort of like customer kind of problem that you get? I asked somebody this the other day and the answer was amazing, so I'm hoping for a similar. What's the most common one?
By us, it's actually like quite interesting. Since 3 weeks or so, we partnered with another blockchain called CoreChain,
Right.
and they are in testnet stage currently. And since we partnered with them, we got a lot of new users. And since then, actually, the most common question in the IcecreamSwap support chat is when core mainnet will be launched.
That's pretty cool. So you've got some pretty engaged users in there, right? Like, it's not one of the things that people always ask me is they do transactions. So they send tokens from one place to another. There's that little window of time in the middle where they're not sure, where it's been sent and it hasn't been received yet. And they just panic and they're like, oh my God, where's everything gone? So I did wonder whether that's like because these are things you're going to have to answer over time, right? If you want to onboard the next million people into crypto, you're going to have to be prepared to answer these kind of questions, right? I think it's very good doing that. Definitely. All right, cool. I think it's, we can wrap this up for today, Simon. I want to thank you again for taking time out your day to come and talk to us and educate people about IcecreamSwap, everything it does and what it can do and what it will be doing. And as you said, kind of IcecreamSwap is about delivery, not about hot air. So I really like that as well. And thank you so much, man. Is there anything else you want to say before we end the stream for today?
I mean, just look at our announcements, Telegram, maybe join us on our, join us on Telegram, look at our announcements on Twitter. There's a lot of stuff coming. And thanks so much for having me here. And it was a very real pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I think we'll catch up again in maybe 6 months' time, and we'll see what the state of DeFi is then, and what's happening for you guys at that moment in time as well. But as I say, for today, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you all learned something. If you want to unpack any of the content we've been talking about today, or go back and listen to any of it again, it's all on YouTube and Twitter and on LinkedIn, I think, today as well. So you can get it in all different locations. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. And for